Did you know there are over 500 skill points in ESO? So where the hell are they all? It feels like you never have enough, especially when you're starting out. Luckily, Investigator Maya has done the math. How many skill points will your new Arcanist actually need? And what are the easiest ways to get them? Before we get into that, hello! Maya here from Ninja Pulse with my penultimate video in this series. NECROM is only 2 weeks away and I think it's gonna be great. It's not just the new class, it's a big tone shift. Away from Renaissance France and back towards the bizarre and fantastic that Elder Scrolls does so well. I'm so there for it. Making these videos for you guys has definitely made me more excited. And I hope you found time to prep a bit here and there, getting some of the hassle out of the way early so the launch is more enjoyable. Because that's the whole point, shrink the grind and enjoy the game more. Anyway, back to those skill points. After testing a bunch of Arcanist builds on PTS, it seemed like 100 skill points is a sensible minimum. That might sound like a lot, and you can go lower, but I want to be realistic. This dude has all the passives he needs, including continuous attack for mount speed and medicinal use for potion cooldowns. And he hits 120k on the dummy. Same for supports. 100 skill points gets you most of what you need for everyday content. The figure jumps if you start to tweak and optimize, more weapon passives, self-heals, major resolves, Sigic and Mage's Guild, and you're creeping towards 150 skill points. If you PvP and PvE on the same character, you may need even more, but the armory system makes it easier to get by. With hirelings and crafting, we're getting close to 250, but luckily, we can forget about those things for now. 100 to 120 seems like a sensible initial amount, and keep in mind that you can put points into things you don't need to unlock passives faster, then use the shrine to refund them later. By the way, there's a cute little temple of the Tribunal right next to the main gate to NECROM where you can do this. So where are the easy skill points? Well, you get 64 as level up rewards, plus one more for playing or skipping the tutorial for a total of 65. We can get the rest from quests, dungeons, group events, sky shards and PvP. Start with quests. The main quest is an obvious choice. It's super easy at low levels, most of the stages are nice and quick, and you get a skill point and big XP drop for each one. Once you've got 10 skill points and have completed the Council of the 5 Companions, I'd stop before the action moves to Cold Harbor and progress is slow. This is mostly solo stuff, so zip through it when your leveling buddies aren't around. Outside of the main quest, however, story is a pretty slow way to get skill points. But if you want to do it, here's a tip. Avoid the base game zones and chapter zones like Somerset, Vardenfell or High Isle, because you only get half the skill points. Smaller DLC zones like Murkmire, Markarth and Galen give twice as many and involve less travel time. Clockwork City is probably the best. It's a great story, has 8 points, and a unique 2-hour 150% XP scroll, which is perfect for leveling. But you must make a specific choice late in the story or you just get a 100% scroll. If you're okay with spoilers, I put a link in the description to the UESP page which explains what to do. Dark Brotherhood also has 8 points and has some very cool moments, but you have to level the skill line to advance, so it's a lot slower. And I do not recommend speeding through any story content you haven't done before. Most of them are really well done and it's a shame to not enjoy them properly. Your choice. So, main quest is great, Clockwork City is useful, but generally, stories are not the fastest way to get skill points. What about random dungeons? These are great for leveling, especially if you've got a group and you can just hang out while chaining one after the other. That's what guilds and Discord servers are for. On top of the XP, dungeon story quests always grant a skill point, 52 of them if you do every single one. Just keep in mind that most dungeons are locked at first. You can still enter through the door, but you can't use the queue for the big XP drop. Here's how it works. Once you hit level 10, 3 dungeons are unlocked. with the new one added every 2 levels, so 8 at level 20, 13 at level 30 and so on until you hit level 45, and then all the DLC dungeons also become available. Remember this when you see someone in chat promising a quick and easy dungeon because they're only level 45, and tell them to take a hike. This makes randoms perfect early on. You gain several levels in a single clear and unlock new dungeons so fast that repeats are less likely, unless you get terrible RNG. But once you hit level 30, 35, you level more slowly and get more and more repeats. This can be especially bad if you don't have a fixed group, and each time you queue, you end up with low-level players who only have a few dungeons unlocked. Remember, the server will be flooded with them, and you can get stuck in a Banished Cells doom loop until you beg Rilis to put you out of your misery. To be fair, you're bound to get repeats, whatever you do. And it's not a big deal so long as you need the XP. But if you're mainly interested in skill points, probably the fastest way to rack them up is public dungeon group events. Here's a good tip. Start with the High Isle public dungeons, because the quests in these also drop a skill point, so you can get 4.5 skill points very quickly. I don't know why Zos did this, but those two are the only public dungeons that work this way. Just wanted to mention it in case you didn't know. In other public dungeons, just skip the quest, grab the Sky Shard, nuke the group event, and get out. There are 32 in the game, which means 44 skill points if you do them all. Despite the name, they are all soloable. Although there are some where slotting a heal or a shield is a good idea. Also, some of them are really close to the entrance, and these are the quickest way to grab a skill point in a hurry, especially if you're grouped and can port to one another. Many other players will be doing group events too when NECROM drops, but that won't matter. The 5-minute respawn timer drops to about 30 seconds if there's a character nearby without the achievement. This worked everywhere I tested it, so you should never have to wait more than 30 seconds before it pops again. And of course, there are overland sky shards, 543 in total, which equals 181 skill points. But they're a mixed bag, some right by the way shrine, some tucked away at the bottom of a delve. You don't need them all, you can just grab the easy ones to fill the gaps, then come back for the rest some other time. Finally, don't forget about PvP. Hear me out, even if you never do PvP, you should definitely do the Alliance War tutorial. It takes 3 minutes, gets you 3 skill points, and advances you to rank 3 in both Alliance War skill lines. That's enough to unlock Vigor, and more importantly, the continuous attack passive for 30% faster mount speed. This is pretty much essential, but at lower levels, when your mount is so slow, it's painful to be without it. And don't skip the siege training or you won't hit rank 3, missing out on continuous attack and a free skill point. If you're not sure what I mean, when you start the quest, Welcome to Cyrodiil, usually from the first NPC you see when you arrive, go visit the siege range and do not go directly to the Grand Warlord. I guarantee thousands of people will make this mistake, and they'll be kicking themselves and their slow mounts when they see your new character whizzing past them on horseback. If you like a bit of PvP, the first 6 ranks are pretty easy to get, and that's another skill point for every rank. Daily battlegrounds are also a nice source of XP, so that's 2 birds with 1 stone. Those are all the skill point strats I'm going to mention, so let's sum up. In addition to the 65 skill points we already have by level 50, we can get up to another 109 easy ones just from the main quest, public dungeons, group dungeon quests, and the Cyrodiil tutorial. And at least 30 from easy sky shards, should we need them. I recommend a mixture of all of these. Maybe a bit of main quest up to level 10, then Cyrodiil, then random dungeons, and when the momentum starts to drop a bit, you can head back to the main quest or public dungeons. You should do whatever you want. I am not an advocate of grinding in this or any game really. It should be fun. I'm just putting all these tips in one place to make it easier for you guys to predict how many points your Arcanist is going to need, and to make sure you don't come up short or waste time when there's an easier option available. I think that covers it. I did a lot of fact-checking and number crunching in this video, so let me know in the comment section if it was helpful. It's always nice to hear. As ever, I'm grateful for every like, every sub, and every share. There's a lot of cool stuff coming up on this channel, lots more on the Arcanist, some static rotations, and how to quickly get to grips with DPS, tanking, and healing on this class, so don't miss out. And if you're on PC EU, I will be running some events specifically for new Arcanist characters, so join the Discord and from there you can join the in-game guild as well. Hope to see some of you in NECROM. Meanwhile, have a lovely week.